Supervisions have been really, really, really useful in developing my essay writing.
If I had to describe supervisions in 3 words, they'd be collaborative, unique, and engaging.
I would not be at all the scholar I am if I didn't have supervisees to keep me on my toes.
One of the really important parts of the Cambridge education system is the supervision process. So a supervision is a small teaching group where it's maybe 2 students and 1 academic supervisor. And they're basically like a chat about the materials that you've been learning about in lectures. A typical supervision will consist of the student submitting work before the supervision, and that might be a problem sheet or it might be an essay, and then the supervisor will go through that work and provide some helpful suggestions on how to improve it.
It's not like a lecture theatre where there's one person in authority at the front of the room who knows all the answers. So if you can leave outside the idea that you might be embarrassed by getting something wrong and just engage in a conversation, then it'll be brilliant.
So the major benefits you'll get from a supervision are just always that the lectures go very fast, and so it's very difficult to grasp everything there and then, and it's just so satisfying when they explain it a different way or maybe with some extra content and you just understand and then you can apply it, and yeah, that's the really rewarding part of the supervision.
Which animals will thrive under natural selection? Harry, what do you think?
Well, the animals with the less recognised pattern.
The rarer ones.
Yeah.
So if you have a situation where the rare ones do well and the common ones do poorly, what happens?
You're going to get kind of an equilibrium established where the rarer one is going to rise as the more common ones are hunted, but then they become the more common ones, so they're hunted as well. So you'll end up with kind of a level, I would guess.
But what's it called? What type of?
It's oscillating, isn't it? Because once it becomes more common, then it becomes less common, and then more common and less common and
Absolutely.
more common.
Supervisions are all about what you put into them, because they are the most student-centred form of education that I think we're able to offer. One student might come to me nervous about the whole idea of the interaction, full of brilliant ideas but maybe not so good at expressing those ideas clearly on paper, and we'll work on expression and we'll work on helping them clarify their ideas, and by the end of the term we'll have someone who is clearer in themselves about what they think, and they're proud of themselves and they can see that, and I'm proud of them too because I can see the change.
I think having personal, individual small group teaching really shapes the way that I learn because it is so specifically targeted to you. There's time for your questions to be answered fully, which sometimes you might not get in larger group teaching sessions. So you said that my introduction was a bit too detailed. How would you say I can make my introduction still get the point, but also not end up sounding like an essay or like a paragraph that I'm trying to write?
Okay, so I felt with that essay, you're sort of writing your way into your argument, and your first paragraph is navigating itself past too many other critics and too many opinions. So what I would actually do is make that the second paragraph.
Okay, thank you.
Having a time to get individual feedback on an essay is so useful. It can be quite daunting, but it means that the essays at the end of the year are a bit less daunting and you know how to tackle them.
My advice for students is basically to treat them as being a fun opportunity to discuss your lectures. You have them every week, they're not assessed, and so the pressure's off. And it really gives you the opportunity to discuss things that you're interested in beyond the lectures.